Okay. Now 106 IOC is present. Lead joining. Okay. Then, okay. It is recorded actually, no need to take the physical attendance time and again. Of course, I will take it for the recording. Anyway, so students, I had notified you regarding the beginning of today's chapter, that is Ranga's marriage. Since we are having only 3 classes, hardly 3 classes in a week, usually we are lagging behind. So to give it a good flow, along with giving justice to the syllabus, I mean to say the syllabus that covers the exam. So in dual way, we are giving out to you. We are working in a dual way, right? Serving the purpose in a two way. One, good pace of syllabus. Second, giving justice to the chapters to be asked in the upcoming exam, right? You are senior students, students of senior secondary level, no need to worry about much. Chapters has been told, very limited number of chapters are there. So I think there is no question of doubt, worries, anxieties and apprehension. I hope all of you feel a comfortable atmosphere. You are feeling comfortable, right? You do feel comfortable. Good. So let us have a brief introduction about the MB and Masti Venkatesha, and Canadian writer, right? Born in Ushahali in the Mysore state. As the chapter begins with a fair share, a good share, right? Good proportion to the village. The description or the narration about this village, the geographical location, yes, its name, its significance, yes, the popularity of the place, and his warm invitation to drop me a line if you are ever giving a visit to the small village of Hushahali in Mysore state. Right. Then after that only the story begins, giving a good introduction about his village Ushahali. What is it, where is it, and why is it famous, or what is it famous for? This is his lifespan, 1891 to 1986, right? 95 years he lived in this world, giving a valuable contribution to the field of nutrition. Gyanpith Award. Yes. Just a few seconds. Yeah, students. I hope you are getting me. Is it okay, students? Yes. Am I audible now? Students, am I audible
Yes,
now?
sir.
Okay. Then, long 95 years he lived, giving a valuable contribution to the Indian nutrition, right? And he is a well-known short story writer, a novelist. Even he has a good number of translated poems. And basically, he is a Canadian literary artist, making his work and working his creative works in Kannada on Indian language. I think you are well known with this, the language spoken by and used in Karnataka. And the lesson is also about a Karnataka village, Mysore, right? You are well known about the palace in Mysore, the sandalwoods of Mysore, right? And the sanctuaries connected with the Mysore forest, especially the wild animals, particularly the elephants there. Right? We were discussing the Gyanpith Award, the highest literary honor giving to the literary artist in India. Like across the world, across the globe, you have Nobel Prize in Literature. Similarly, our highest literary honor in India is Gyanpith Award. In 1983, M.B. Rayawar was conferred with the Gyanpith Award, the highest literary honor given to a literary artist in India. And it is for his work. Canadian term, yes. Chakabira Rajendra, for our understanding in English, is last Raja of an empire called Kodal. At that time, those provincial states were not united. Right? Mysore was a small province in Karnataka. In 1948, a big amalgamation came out. You can talk about the merge of the city of Hyderabad in India. Because the ruler, Nizam of Hyderabad, was not interested to annex or to merge his empire with India. It is because of the Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel's effort, political strategy, Hyderabad became a part of India. I mean to say that there were hundreds of thousands of you can say smaller provinces there and thousands of rulers ruling or governing the provincial states of India. Like in Rajasthan, basically it was divided into three small provinces. Here this part is known as the Hadoti region of Rajasthan. You can say the Mewar region. Right? Hadoti region, Mewar region, or if you can talk about the location of Jodhpur, Bikaner and all that come under Marwar region. Right? So all Indian states, almost all Indian states were divided into a number, I can say a big number of small provinces, those were being ruled by the provincial ruler. Right? This is a small historical reference to this particular chapter. Okay, so students, here we will find the beauty of English language on the one hand, and on the other hand, the marriage, the advantages of love marriage and the advantages of arranged marriage. Which one is good? Which one is comparatively good? What are the reasons behind the goodness? Right? So this chapter is never to be taken or read in a serious way. This is a small chapter with full of humor, comics, laughter and all. So there is no any serious element in this particular chapter. Even you can add humor giving your own contribution. Basically, this is divided into two parts. One is about the English language, or you can say the language of English. And that is the English language. Then the other part is marriage. Yes. Multiple views and opinions we have regarding the nature of marriage today. Which one is good? Which one has good social implication? Which one can give good social values? We can add good social implication, sociability, social etiquettes, human relationship, right? The mutual cooperation, mutual understanding, sustenance, what we can say, right? Anything. So, the chapter begins with a small reference to the place itself, that is called Kushahali, the birthplace of the author, M.B. Iyengar. Masti Venkatesh Iyengar. Right? Then, the English language, when it concentrates on the character Ranga, it has become a huge popularity because a village boy got education, higher education in a city like Bangalore. Today we call it Bangalore. Right. Even 10 years before, those who are good in English, having a master degree in English, proficient with English, or even an office assistant, or you can say lower division clerk or LDC working in an office, or upper division clerk or UDC working in an office, or you can say the office babu. If you come across some people who are talking in English, making a conversation in English, those who are good enough in making official correspondence in English, that matters a lot. that speaks about their social prestige, the ladder, the rank they are in the society or around the people they are living in. So I meant to say that English language has a great implication. So those who are having a good command over that, the written part along with the reading part, the writing communication, official correspondence, getting a good job at central government level or state government level, their prestige and their dignity is given high emphasis. So it came to the forefront, became a big news when a village accountancy song, accounting is a low profile job, I cannot say low, sorry to say, comparatively a small profile job. But even accountant son, of course an accountant gets less salary than other officers and civil servants or doctors, engineers and people having other professions. So when a low income family child is getting higher education in a city like Bangalore, that speaks volume about the person who is getting educated. Ranga is one such boy who is pursuing higher studies in Bangalore, and of course higher study has always to do with English language. So when he has come to the village, a big crowd is found. People are making a hustle and bustle to see Ranga because he is an accountant son and he has come to the village for the first time. People are more anxious, more passionate, growing intensity of passion. Like you can find a big passion is growing inside them to talk to him, to meet him, to know about him, right? And moreover, the language spoken, English language, you can get to know some humors. Some words will be spoken. If somebody doesn't understand, then in the local language, in the native tongue, people begin to shout, begin to curse, right, or begin to scold. So that adds much humor for us. Like we laugh, we get a comic sense of life, we get a good source of entertainment when somebody doesn't understand and when he feels humiliated, feels insulted, then the curse begins with a native tongue, mother tongue. The person concerned may not understand it, may understand it, he has nothing to do. But the reaction that takes place, it always creates an entertainment zone. Right? Okay. Then, since it is different from the native tongue or the regional Indian languages, the different part is always given more focus. Students, you have heard, bad is stronger than good. Yes, I am telling it once again, bad is stronger than good. Because what is bad matters more. Yes, sorry for the interruption, I am unable to get the video part. Okay, sometimes we feel the interruption, but good enough now. We can give it a good flow. And it's good to see your attendance also, 25 of 40. Of course, comparatively good, although it is not totally good, but comparatively good because 25 becomes a new phenomena for us. Please, it's a good sign, healthy sign, go on increasing this. Anyway, so we were discussing bad is stronger than good. Because which is something bad or something which is bad, it always resides in human mind for a long period of time. You become apprehensive, you create questions, you raise questions, you put your reaction, you give your comments, with that something which is bad. Now, just take one step away from our concept and our concentration in connection with something bad. So, if we interpret it in a different way, then in a very easy way, simple way, we can conclude that something which is different is important. Something which overlaps, mingles, without having its distinction, its uniqueness is forgotten. It matters less. But something which is different, not the regular one, but a different one, rarely seen, rarely found, used by less people. Yes, it creates a big difference that is remembered for a more period of time. So now you come to the point. 99% of Indians 50 years before, because this writing was written in 1950, of course 70 years before. And in 1950s, those who were sound enough economically, only they were pursuing higher education. And getting English language education was a distant dream because it was not affordable. Right? If you can talk about in 1942, long before I met a doctor, a retired doctor from Odisha, from my state, maybe in 2008. And when I got an opportunity to talk to him, he told that he was the first health minister in my state, being a doctor by profession. By profession, he was a doctor, and when he joined the governance system, then he became a health minister. So he told me that in 1942, he began his degree education, sorry, class 12 education, and till 1942, there was no science college in my state, no science stream. It was only arts and commerce stream. So to get the higher education in science, people had to go to different state. So people from Odisha had to go to West Bengal, Kolkata, the state capital, to pursue higher studies in science. You can say the basic science, because class 12 science, for class 12 science, they have to leave the one state and to go to the other state. So this was the status. Right? Similarly, English education in 1950s was also a very big issue. It was quite an unknown, having much distinctiveness, much uniqueness. It was not easily accessible to many people, so it has its own advantage. When the accountant son has reached the village from Bangalore, there is a big crowd you will find. Lots of people are waiting enough to listen from him or to listen to him, right? What does he speak? People in general are doubtful whether somebody pursues his higher education, follows in a strict way the native culture, the native tradition or not. This also becomes a very big factor. And the same is reflected in the chapter 1. Right? Okay. Oh, then now we will read a few paragraphs. Of course, very long paragraph. At least the first two paragraphs we will read, and we will discuss something in connection with the exam chapters related to the upcoming exam, right? Okay. I hope you are not feeling uncomfortable. Anyway, student, do you have any queries, any questions, or you have your own suggestion? Then I would follow your suggestion. I don't have any problem to follow this. Okay. Anyway, if you have any, kindly put it in the chat box. Because some chapters, those who have already been asked, are also included, right? Even the recently what we taught, the voice of the rain that we completed in the last class is not included for the exam, right? Okay. So now it has come down to 24 from 25, one shot of the status which was for the last 10 minutes. Okay. So we will read the introductory part. Ranga, the accountant's son, is one of the rare breed among the village folk who has been to the city to pursue his studies. When he returns to his village from the city of Bangalore, the crowds mill around his house to see whether he has changed or not. His ideas about marriage are now quite different, or are they? So the introductory part ends with a question and not with a solution, right? So the views about the marriage are different or not. The narrator is asking us the question. It is we, the readers, have to decide whether these are different or not, whether we find any difference or all the similarities we find, right? So the narrator is not given a fixed conclusion, rather he has put the conclusion in a question mark. He is in an interrogative zone, not in a statement zone. I am sure I am getting to you and I am understood, right? It ends with an interrogation, like as I said, with a question mark. So when you see this title, some of you may ask, Ranga's marriage? Yes. Why not Ranganatha Vivaha or Ranganatha Vijay? These are of course South Indian terms, Sanskrit terms it is. Also you will find in several Indian languages, including my language also I find this term like Ranganatha Vivaha or Ranganatha Vijay, synonymous terms to marriage or what you call wedding ceremony. Well, yes, I know I could have used some other mouth-filling one like Jagannatha Vijaya or Girija Kalyana. Here, Girija, okay. Can anybody say me what does the name refer to? Who does the name refer to? Girija here is the name. Students, can you please say it? Yes. Who does the name refer to? Girija refers to Goddess Parvati, right? And the marriage of gods and goddesses are very famous. Many of our festivals are associated with this. Anyway, so it is, why not it is Jagannatha Vijaya Girija Kalyana, giving a good term, very high term to the marriage, right? Okay. Because students, it depends on us in regards to our view, our look, our importance, right? Somebody can say it party, right? Somebody can say it a bhoj. Somebody can give it a better term like a preet bhoj. So it depends on us in what way we will treat it. We will consider it, whether a party or a program or a bhoj or a get together. It depends on us. Similarly, whether it is Jagannath Vijaya or Girija Kalyana, it depends on us. Okay. The narrator will say us for what it is suitable, or such terms are suitable for our discussion or not. But then, this is not about Jagannatha's victory or Girija's wedding. So no such big terms are required for this event. It's about our own Ranga's marriage, and hence no fancy title. Let it be very simple. What the narrator wants to say. So our own sense of position. You look the word our, right? It is a sense of position. Like we say, this pen is ours, the school is ours, this is our school, and this is our bank. This is sense of position. And when you will feel and get to know the sense of position, you will get to know the sense of ownness. So the affinity, the human bond, the human association is comparatively more. The depth is something intense, and the same is reflected here. Our own Ranga, it means a touch of ownness, affinity. The social relation is tight enough. Then, it's about our own Ranga's marriage, and hence no fancy title. Let it be very simple because it is based on it is related to our own son of our locality, son of our village. So there won't be a fancy title. Then, the next movement. So the story begins with the crowd and the big name. And the concluding part is a fancy title rather than big name. Then it makes the movement. The movement of the corps is directed towards the village, the native place, the birthplace of India, and that is a very small village called Usahali in the state of Mysore. Usahali is our village. You must have heard of it. Narrator is not sure whether you have heard of it or not. No, it means, haven't you heard this? Okay. You may not have heard because small village, until the arrival of Google Map, if it is not reflected in the map or atlas, the two geographical locator or determiner, then people arrive at a conclusion that the place doesn't exist. It is not located, it is not found, and hence it doesn't exist. Like, if you talk about a small child, maybe a child of 5 years old, and if you talk to the child about some abstract concepts, like concepts of which you can't see, you can't touch, but you can feel inside. For example, heaven, hell, right? Sincerity, cooperation, all these you can hear and you can feel, not tangible, not visible, because these are abstract concepts. So if you ask the child whether a heaven exists or whether a hell exists, the child will simply say that it doesn't exist. So now the question from me is, why does the child say that the hell doesn't exist? Yes, can anyone say this? A small question is being raised from my end. So students, can you please say, why does the child say that the heaven doesn't exist? I'm repeating it. If you ask the student, if you ask the child whether a heaven exists, the child will say no. Now the question is, why does the child say no to the question? It doesn't exist. Why? Because the child must have his own logic, own argument, own scientific theory. The purpose is what is it? What is the logical point or what is the argumentative point here? So the child concludes that it doesn't exist. Why? Yes, students, I am waiting for your answers. Can you please say it? Yes, anybody else? Okay, Gaurav has told clear, sir. Okay, then I am waiting eagerly for your answer. Okay, you give your own logic, your own view, like a student of 17 years old or 11 plus 5 if you are in class 11. Since you are in class 11, you are 16 or 17 maybe. So what is your answer based on your experience? The way you have an experience over the world or over the people around you, right? Or you just recall to your own childhood stage when you begin to perceive ideas. Yes. Can you please give your own view? Okay. Students, see. For a young child of 5 years old, only the visible and the tangible things exist and the rest doesn't exist. Because it can't be seen and it can't be found and it can't be touched. It doesn't exist in the book. He cannot see it, he cannot view it, he cannot make himself associated with the place, with the land, and with the atmosphere, connected with the concept, connected with the place, and connected with the space. So if there is no connection, no association, very simple and straightforward conclusion that it doesn't exist. Right? So, yes, sorry for the interruption. The screen itself got exist. Yes. Okay. Anyway. Similarly, the narrator has told no because it's a very small village and in geography, you can say in the maps or in the atlas or in the globe, this place is not located. You cannot find a village name to be Hosahali. So normally, For the first time, people are acquainted with this. People are associated with this, right? Even it was not in our knowledge before we read it, before it became a part of our syllabus, before it became a point of our discussion. Okay. And the reason is also reflected in the same way by the narrator here. Kusahali is our village. You must have heard of it. No, what's a pity means? It's human nature. Always human beings take pride of their own locality, own village, own land. The same is reflected here. No, it means the narrator wants to say that you must have heard the place because the place is very famous and very important. But it is not your fault. Why it is not your fault? The reason is same as we discussed now. There is no mention of it in any geography book. Those Sahibs in England means the British rulers. They are called Sahib. Writing in English probably do not know that such a place exists. So it is beyond their knowledge. They are ignorant of the place and so make no mention of it. So directly his blame points towards the ruler because they didn't want to put it in a limelight zone. Hence it became unknown for us, right? Then come to the next sentence. Our own people to forget about it. You know how it is? They are like a flock of sheep. Yes. Anyway, students, when we talk about a flock of sheep, which idea, which picture we form in our mind when we talk about a flock of sheep? Can anybody say this? Yes. The normal behavior you get from a flock of sheep. What sense does it indicate? What picture do we form in our mind when we come across a flock of sheep? Yes, it gives a connotation, it gives a picture. Yes, it creates a visual image in our mind in connection with an idea. So the question is, what is the idea? Yes, what is the idea that a flock of sheep refer to? Okay, can you say it, students? Anyway, let some time pass. Once again, we will focus it. Anyway, let us conclude at least the very first paragraph. There is no mention of it in any geography book. Those Sahibs in England writing in English probably do not know that such a place exists and so made no mention of it. Our own people too forget about it. You know how it is. They are like a flock of sheep, as we discussed just now. The reason is given by the subsequent lines, means the lines which follows the idea. And what it is one sheep walks into a pit, the rest blindly follow it. So following somebody blindly, without logic, without any argument, without any scientific spirit, this is called like a flock of sheep. One does, hundreds of other does. No assessment, no examination, no experiment. This is what happened. One sheep walks into a pit, the rest blindly follow it. When both, it means the Sahibs in England and our own geographers have not referred to it. You cannot expect the poor cartographer to remember to put it on the map. Can you? The British doesn't want, so the cartographer forgot it. People in general also do not have the queries and interest to put it in a map to make it a limelight zone. And so, There is not even the shadow of our village on any map. Here, what does the word shadow refer to? There is no shadow of our village on any map. So here, the word shadow is a pun. And students, what is a pun in case of the literary device? Or you can see the figure of speech. What is a pun? Yes, probably we have discussed somewhere. I meant to say while reading any chapters from your syllabus of class 11th regarding pun. And students, what is a pun here? I can interpret it in the sense of a pun. What is it? Okay, it means one word which gives two different meanings. Shadow in general here, one sense will be the usual shadow, your own shadow or the shadow produced by the tree. Or when you look your own shadow in the sun rays, the surface meaning, the general meaning, the literal meaning. One sense, one meaning. But what is the other one? Since the pun gives you more than the one meaning, like it says, not even the shadow of our village on any map. So this part I expect of you. I hope you are getting me. Students, what can be the other meaning of the word shadow here? Yes. What can be the other meaning of the word shadow? Anyone else? Yes, now the time is of attendance also, but many of you have missed the attendance. Yes. Can you please say it, students? So, okay. Let me say it. If no response comes from your side, the other meaning of shadow here is trace, sign, indication, clue, or any hint. This is your shadow is referred as. Right? Okay. So now students, since I have told you some revision parts we will do. Yes. The address we have discussed it in the last class also, sorry, during the last exam also. Now you concentrate on landscape of the soul. Yes? Okay. Suppose the question comes emphasizing on the difference that you find between the Chinese view of art and the European view of art. Suppose one option is right among the given four. Without discussing the options, let us come with a straightforward answer. What is the difference between Chinese painting and European painting? Or Chinese painting and Western painting? What is the basic difference you find? Yes, can you say it, students? Okay, let me go through the chat box. Okay, nobody has responded yet. Okay. Students, please put your attendance. After a few minutes, we will take your attendance. So it will be a loss on your part because in the initial round you will present, but not now. So you are inviting loss to yourself. Anyway, okay. So the basic difference is that you can interpret in your own ways, using your own experiences and knowledge to the Chinese painting. But the European painting is to be analyzed, is to be justified, is to be interpreted through the eyes of the painter itself. It doesn't give you scope for your own creative way of observing it and your creative observation. Right? Then, who is Wu Daozi? Suppose the question comes, who is Wu Daozi? What is his profession? What I mean to ask? Yes. Wu Daoji is a painter, an artist, you can say. Right? Okay. Then, what is an anecdote? Right? When we discuss piece writing, we talked about anecdote. So, students, what is an anecdote? An anecdote is a small, real account in connection with the point of discussion. This is what to speak in a very simple way, right? Okay. Then students, who is Quintin Metzius? Yes. Who is Quintin Metzius? Who is Quintin Metzius? Yes. He was a blacksmith and he created wonders when he painted something and it was with the sense of delicate realism, it became new. And the emperor was not ready to, right, to get his daughter married with a blacksmith because the blacksmith belonged to a low profile. But the blacksmith's artistic value was so grand that he got his daughter married with the blacksmith. Right? Okay. Then another big important question from this chapter is what is landscape? Right? Now you remember about the two concepts, yin and yang. Remember our class. We have discussed it very clearly. So student, the question is what is yin and what is yang? Together it forms a landscape in Chinese view. Right? Okay. So students, what is yin? Y-I-N-G? Yin means the mountain and yang means the water. Together they form the mountain water, what we call as landscape. Right? Okay. Great chance is there that questions will cover in connection with the clarification of the concept, the terminologies, right? So together it is given a combination of both the masculine and feminine spirit. Yin is given the masculine spirit and it is given a feminine spirit. And when they combine, so we find a midpoint. The midpoint is called void, right? And it is given a spiritual fervor or spiritual goal. How is it given a spiritual status? Right? See, we give it a spiritual status when you compare with the pranayama or the meditation. Because in every combination there is a midpoint, what we call void. Yes, Gorbi has given some answers. Thank you, Gorbi. So there is a midpoint in every combination, in every merge, and in every integration and interaction. You can say it into section. And the midpoint is called the void. Right? Like, for example, when we do the meditation, when we inhale and when we exhale, there is a midpoint. And that midpoint is called void. No action takes place. And this is universal to all living organisms, all living beings living on the planet Earth, even you can say all human beings. So it is a universal appeal. So the midpoint or the void is a universal appeal, is a universal concept, terminology, applicable for all, right? Okay. Then the question is, who is the pioneer of art brut? A-R-T-B-R-U-T. Who is the pioneer of art brut? Now let me tell you. Yes. Who is the pioneer of art brut? And what is art brut? Suppose this is the question, right? So students, art brut means raw art. Art brut means raw. Art in its raw form. You remember the rock garden in Chandigarh. From the recycled and renewable materials, like you can say the used bangles, paper, plastics and all, beautiful garden has been designed, right? And it has touched the world-class newspaper also, like the Time magazine. The cover page itself speaks a volume about that, right? Like we discussed in 2005, talk about a magazine called Raw Vision. Yes, published in UK. It features Nick Chand, the mind behind creation of the rock garden, and it It presents next chance picture on its front page of the anniversary issues cover page of the anniversary issues. Next chance contribution has been designed, and it features next chance and his rock garden sculpture. So it has become world famous because this is a internationally reputed magazine. So what does the cover page speaks about? It means it gives it a world-class status, right? Anyway, now we talk about the ailing planet, the green movement's role. Yes, always focus on the last lines. We had discussed much. Yes, I hope you are ready with the book. See, all we have is a life tenancy with a full repairing lease. This is told by whom? This is told by Margaret Thatcher, a former UK Prime Minister, showing his great environmental concern, a deep environmental concern. The words come here that we are not the owner. We don't have a free hold like we can use as per our own wish. It's not like that. Like we have taken it on the basis of a rent. And any rent, it lasts for a fixed period of time and not a permanent time. And you have more responsibility. Any damage that you put, any effect that you create, you will be responsible for it, right? So similarly, we don't have a free hold because we are not the owner. Just like we are the tenants, right? Like tenants live in a rented room, or tenant farmer who cultivates the land or farms on a lease basis, on an agreement, like this. Similarly, one such great words, what we call felicitous words, as it is given in the book, in the words of Mr. Lesser Brown, very famous words, and with these statements, we can see statements, with these statements, the chapter comes to the conclusion. Can anybody at least begins the first few words in connection with the statement? Yes. Students, I have told you to write in one particular column the statements and the name of the organization. Even one hand statements, on the other hand the names and the name of the organization and the organizational head. Together it form a beautiful bond. These are the core elements to understand the particular chapter. So without any delay, let us discuss it. In the words of Mr. Lesser Brown, we have not inherited this earth from our forefathers, we have borrowed it from our next generation. Because what we inherit, we are not much responsible. We take it in a casual way. Yes, without giving much seriousness, right? So, Mr. Lesser Brown tells that we have not inherited it, we have borrowed it. And since we have borrowed it, we have a great responsibility. And the responsibility is sustainable development. Because our utilization of resources should also give a justification towards the use of resources that is to be done by our next generation. Okay. So student, this much for it. 25 of you were present, but now it is 20. So 5 more of you are absent. Okay. So this is 1, 2, and 3 are absent. 4, 5 present, 6, 7 present, 8 is present, 9 is absent. Then 10 present, 11 is absent. 12 present, 13 is absent. Then 14 present, 15 to 18 are absent here, 19, 20 present, 21, 22 present, then 23, 24 absent, 25 present, 26 present, then 27 to 30 are absent. 31 present. 32, 33 absent. 34 present. 35 absent. Then 36, 37 present. 38 absent. 39 present. 40 absent. Okay. Students, this much for today. Okay. Take the exam in a serious way. Try for the full scorer, 100% scorer, because the MCQ will give you the permission to become the centum scorer, right? Okay. Thank you, students.